Okay, how weird is it to be up there now after coming in late commit to A&M? You know, kind of 3-star, now all of a sudden you're a freshman All-American talking to this glorious bunch of people. How weird has the last 6 months been for you?
It's been a crazy 6 months, but I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. I'm glad to be here at A&M, and I'm glad to be in front of all of you.
We'll go front row on the right side to Brent.
So in terms of your background, were you born and raised in Temple, or? Okay, so when you were a little kid, what was it about football that stood apart from the other sports as you're growing up and playing that game? I know you led it all 4 years, correct?
Yes, sir. I would say the physicality as well, and how the game of football has evolved over time. You go from the I formation to the spread offenses. So I think football is a ever-changing game, and you always got to adapt to it.
We'll go front row on the right side to Cole.
Taurean, growing up in Texas, you got to see a lot of Big 9 players, whether it be at the collegiate level or at the NFL level. Who were some linebackers that you tried to emulate your game after, and is there one specific guy that you still model and look at today?
Of course, guys like Ray Lewis and Patrick Willis, but I feel like Nakobe Dean inspired me a lot, especially in my junior year. I wasn't getting recruited, but a reporter told me that Nakobe Dean was a 5-star linebacker, about the same height, good measurables as me, you know, so that definitely inspired me. So I look up to a guy named Nakobe Dean.
When you look back at your freshman year and now knowing that the All-American honors came with it and just the expectation, did you always envision yourself getting to that end goal, or when did it start to kind of finalize in your brain that this is a possibility, I could make all these accolades?
I think whenever I put pen to paper in December of 2022, I feel like I was always capable of it. I just needed opportunity, and of course, I made the most of it.
We'll go back behind the lights to Ben and then to Rob.
Hey, Taurean. Coach Fisher mentioned when he was here that you were really, one thing that kind of stood you apart, especially for someone, you know, going through their true freshman season, your ability to pick up on, I guess, just calling out signals and understanding the defense and all that. What would you contribute to or attribute that to, your knowledge of the game and how you've been able to kind of pick that stuff up quickly?
I feel like I'm always trying to get upper hand on my opponent, whether that's watching game film or just picking up on their tendencies, you know. And I think that was also created in Temple as well. High school football was fun for me, and I studied a lot of film in high school as well, so I think it all carried over to A&M.
We'll go fourth row on the left side to Rob and then Travis.
Howdy, Taurean. Having seen, I think I saw an interview of you like right after you were going to come here, that you had committed to come here, and you were pretty emotional. What that showed me is your heart and your desire to play for this university. Tell me now, having been through a season, tell me about the expectations you had coming in and what they've meant, and what you would say to other people looking at this program.
I feel like I love the game, and, you know, that interview has become almost iconic in a sense. You know, I feel like that showed my love for the game and how much I love A&M, and I'm just happy to be here, you know. And also I think for next year I'm just trying to build up, have a great winning season, and hopefully a playoff berth.
We'll go front row on the right side to Travis and then Carter.
How much do you feel like you learned from Edgerin and standing by him, and how much can you attribute some of the success from having that example?
I feel me and Coop coincided great together, you know. We worked together well. He was my hotel roommate, you know, so whenever I was quizzing myself, I would be like, hey, Coop, look at this paper, ask me some questions. And also whenever he felt like it was time for him to get back on his phone, now, Coop, answer these questions. I'm about to quiz you to make sure that we're on the same page.
Yeah, and you mentioned the progression of the game from I-form to spread and everything. Like, how much do you feel like you're a historian, student of the game? Where did that come from?
I just love the game, honestly. Like on Instagram, I follow some football pages that show a lot of plays, you know, whether like, I know guys like Andy Reid, they use like wing T formations, things like that. So I always, I have a saved playlist on my Instagram with probably 200 plays on there. So I just go back and look at those plays and just see how the game has evolved.
Yeah, and do you feel like it's that knowledge, that desire that made it easier for you to be the play caller and kind of the leader on the field as a freshman?
Of course. I feel like a lot of teams, they run the same stuff just in different variants, you know. So every team has their own ways of doing things, you know, so you just got to adapt and plan week to week.
We'll go second row on the right side to Carter and then Daryl.
Taurean, when you were a recruit and kind of being under-recruited, you mentioned Nakobe Dean, but, you know, was it discouraging, and just how surprising was it to maybe not be as big as you maybe should have been? And then since signing here, just how much has your life changed over, really over the last 6 months since you've started playing?
I think the recruiting process made me a better man. You just always got to see that things don't go your way. You just got to keep pushing. And then also these past 6 months have been crazy. My life has changed in so many ways possible. I'm just glad to see that it all flourished, though.
We'll go. Go ahead, Carter.
Yeah, sorry. And then wondering how much you got to know Mike Elko through the recruiting process, and then just what your initial impressions of him are so far.
I love Coach Elko. He recruited me hard at A&M. He recruited me hard at Duke. So the first time I saw him after that team meeting, we just caught up from the last time that we had talked.
We'll go back behind the lights to Daryl and then Brent.
Torian, I got a couple for you. First, just what's it going to be like to step on the field and the challenge of playing against the nation's leading rusher and Ollie Gordon in that Texas Bowl?
Well, for our team, I feel like we are a great run defense team and a great total defense team. But also for myself, I feel like it's a great challenge. He's a great running back, and I'm a great linebacker, so I'm looking forward to facing off with him and his team.
And then just how big would it be for the direction of this team for you guys to be somewhat shorthanded to pick up a Texas Bowl win over a team that, played for the Big 12 championship?
I think it'd be great to show our fight, how we never back down, how we come together as one, and hopefully end off the season with the W.
We'll go front row on the right side to Brent and then Cole.
So you mentioned having all those plays saved that you look at. So how young were you when you really got that interest, where you started maybe looking at YouTube videos and things like that of football? How young were you?
I'd probably say 14. My freshman year of high school is whenever I started really diving into the game of football and just trying to learn how offenses operate.
Do you have any, in terms of your family members, that have a football background in terms of some of your elders or uncles or dad or anything along those lines on the football front?
Yeah, my dad for sure. I know 8th grade I wanted to take a step forward in my game, so after every game on Tuesday, Wednesday night, we would watch the game, and he'll be brutally honest with me. He'll keep it real, and, emotions were high, and that's how you want it to be. You want him to coach you up hard, so my dad definitely played a great role in how I take hard coaching and also how I just developed as a player and a person as well.
We'll stay on that front row to Cole and then Mark.
Torian, everyone has a favorite moment or a favorite play from their first season. I know that you have one. Can you explain which was your favorite moment of the year?
I would say probably the first tackle for loss on the first play of Auburn. Probably one of my favorite plays of the year, just because it's my first SEC game. Kyle Field was packed. It was an 11 a.m. game. My whole family was there. So, honestly, that game was special for me and my family as well. And
then when you look at Texas A&M's future and anyone who is potentially looking to enter the transfer portal or people looking at coming in via the transfer portal, why Texas A&M, and more importantly, why for you to stick around and see this thing through underneath Coach Elko?
I would say, for one, Coach Elko is a great coach. I trust him. I trust his scheme and trust the coaches that he's going to hire, the players he's bringing in, But as a A&M, as a university, I feel like the fans always back you no matter what. And I think that plays a good role as well, because you would never want to come to Kyle Field with there being 30,000 people in the stands whenever you hold 110. We expect 100,000 people to be there, and we hopefully to put on a good performance for them.
We'll go front row on the left side to Mark and then Alex.
Torian, you've been a tackling machine throughout your career. In high school, now your first season at A&M. You got to walk us through, your mindset and the process that you kind of go through once the offensive team takes a snap and, let's say the running back gets the ball and you realize that you're going to be in a position to make a play.
Yeah, for sure. Tackling is an art. You have to work on it for sure. You have to have your technique right, because whole defensive goal is to not allow the offense to gain any yards, So you got to shoot through the thigh boards, run your feet, things of that nature, stay on the near hip.
We'll go second row on the left side to Alex to wrap us up.
Hey, Torian, you talk about your love for the game. Growing up in a town like Temple, is that it's a town that loves its football. What was kind of the culture like there, and maybe how that might have inspired your love for the game, or maybe watching some of those guys growing up?
I feel like we eat, sleep, and breathe football in Temple, and it hits different whenever you see people that you grew up with playing Little League football with since you were the age of 6, and now you see him at 18. He's a full young man, so that definitely inspired me to play even harder, because my best friends, all of us live in the same neighborhood, all 5 of us, So it was just a great time, and I'm happy to see them grow and happy to see that they're doing well in life.
Yeah, was there a memory growing up you remember watching Temple football games? Did you go to a lot as a kid to the high school games on Fridays?
Yeah, I remember it was a game. I was young, probably like 4 or 5, and Temple was losing. I was crying. I'm telling my mom, go get my pass from the house. I was ready to go play for them right now. But obviously, I was only 4. I didn't understand that you have to be, for one, a high school student to be playing for the Wildcats, and 2, you have to be the same age. You have to be who knows, 14 to 18 to play high school football, and I was 5, and I was ready to go in. But, you know, of course, my mom didn't go get my pads, and we sat there and we just watched the rest of the game.
Did they win?
No.
You know, I guess too, you know, it sounds like you've got kind of a humble confidence in your work ethic, but, you know, as someone that came in and had such a quick impact, when did you realize that maybe, you know, you could have such a big impact on this team so early this season?
I would say probably like the 3rd week of spring ball. I feel like I was getting a good hang of defense, the physicality of college football, and just how to tackle on blocks, how to tackle these, you know, SEC running backs, you know. So it was all trials and tribulations. You know, I got better each and every week. But, you know, fall camp is where I feel like I came into my own and had the confidence to really lead the defense.
All right, that's all we have. Thank you, Taurean.
No problem.